All right, we got another YouTube video. Let's get it. So today, we're gonna talk about why you really gotta get lean. I think just me, myself, now interacting around people that are lean, I really recognize like, damn, it's actually one of the most important things is for you to be lean. And every time I'm slightly hungry now because I'm actually in a deficit and I'm getting my steps in, and I think, oh, I want to eat more, but I don't. You know, you're gaining that discipline, you're gaining that self-mastery, your elevation is getting higher because now you're doing something even harder. Because bulking and cutting, the two versions of the same thing. I mean, almost, but most people are gonna argue cutting's harder, especially when you get deeper into your cuts, which I'm not there yet, but that day will come, of course, because I'm already lean, because I already know I have the vibration to be someone that's lean. So then that's gonna manifest eventually as a consequence of just my standards now. But when you have that much control over your mind and you're like, okay, you made a commitment and you honor it every day and you really like fight to the life or death, that's where the power comes from. That's why being lean is so powerful. And it's crazy how I used to downplay it. I used to always, you look at someone with six-pack abs and you're like, oh, okay, like they work out, oh, that's cool. But once you start to understand it, you're like, damn. You see how everyone downplays it, but the amount of like dedication and like delayed gratification, like mastery over yourself that you need to be that lean, it's actually fucking insane. And that's why it's worth doing. So I encourage everyone watching, if you got a good like base on you of muscle, I definitely recommend you start the cut. Because lean is law. Because all the stories and stuff that they talk about, as you get more and more locked in, those things start to occur to you. It's crazy. They talk about certain chicks, and I see that at work now. And then like you're gonna grow apart from people. You start to see things clearly. All this shit's very real. Like it's a canned event. That's why you gotta stay on the journey, because eventually you're gonna start to see things, and it's gonna happen to you. And it's so crazy because when it happens to you, you're gonna be like, oh, okay. And in the moment, you might be like, oh, this sucks. But then you're like, hang on, wait, no, this is good. That means I'm locked in. You're getting closer to the people that are actually locked in, because these things are what locked people go through. It's a canned event. People that are locked in, you might have to cut off that girl, break up with your girl or whatever. You might have to distance yourself from certain people, or people just gonna naturally move apart from you because you're actually so locked in. Because many people listening, you guys just want pleasure so much. That's why you can't sit in silence by yourself. Do the same boring things over and over and over again. Like tomorrow is 4th of July, and that's when many people are gonna, they're gonna deviate from the diet, they're gonna cheat, they're gonna go out and drink, and all that stuff is cool. But if you're trying to get to that next level, you can't do that. Because especially after interacting with locked in people, they're like, oh, it's another Monday. Like we're still locked in, we eat the same meals. Boom, we still get business done. And that's how they operate. They treat every day like Monday, even holidays. So when you're around that energy, you just start thinking, wow, okay, so this is the standard. And then boom, you just start operating like that. It's funny, we had someone join, I'm in a Discord, someone joined, and he was like, oh, I'm excited to be in all stuff. And he was like, it's time for me to lock in. And I was telling him, I was like, you don't have a choice. Like, you're in the Discord now. You're gonna be forced to lock in, because when you're around a genuinely locked in person, and you recognize, oh, they work way more hours than me, yet they also hit the gym way more than me, and they eat consistently, and they don't cheat on their diet. You have no excuses, none. That whole victim mindset, or you don't have any time. Everyone's got time, because if someone could work 80 hours and still hit the gym 5 days a week and hit the protein goal every day, you have no excuse. There's no excuse that you can bring up. But it takes being around certain people to just really recognize that. For me, I was like 90% there, but that last 10%, that part I'm starting to finally attack now. Because now you can go multiple weeks eating the same meals, you don't cheat on your diet. But see, when you get so locked in, you don't even want to go out because it distrays you further. It's gonna stray me further from the 6-pack abs and all these things I want. I'm like, I don't see the point. Especially if it's to do like nonsense or goofy shit, because I had to come to the realization, every time I hang out with these people, it's straying me further from my purpose. So I'm locking out, not locking in. And that's where everything changes, when you recognize what actually being locked in means. Because you recognize it's really simple. Everyone thinks you got to be on some like David Goggins shit, but even that too. I think one of the craziest things I learned about David Goggins is, it's not that he runs because it's difficult. He runs every day because he hates that shit. He was like, that's the thing I hate doing the most. And he does it like he fucking loves it. And I'm like, damn, but that's a hard-ass motherfucker. Like, but that's how you want to get to, So for me, I thought, damn, what do I hate doing the most? And I thought about it, I was like, I don't like waking up early. So I was like, damn, if I ever don't feel like waking up early, I'm like, fuck it. Like, we just gotta get to the point where I wake up early, even if I don't feel like it. But that's kind of how it is. Regardless of how you feel, you still show up. That's basically the whole discipline, self-improvement journey. Literally, that's kind of it. Because to get lean is, okay, I said I would eat this amount of food, and I can't eat any more than that amount. That's it. So you're quite literally just eating to serve a goal, which very, very few people can do. That's why it's so rewarding. That's why you gain all these benefits and stuff when you get to that point. And I'm already starting to experience some of them too, which is crazy. Because I've been doing the work, but now I do it in a new, I wouldn't even say intensity because it's simpler now, but you know what the standard is. So when you know you're doing all the right things, now you're just like, okay, I understand what I need to do now. Now it's just a time thing. Now it's just about being consistent. But if you work on your systems, boom, there's no way I go backward. It only gets easier and easier to work out, eat these meals, because I eat the same meals. There's no food fatigue and all this nonsense because it tastes good, or there's enough variety where you can do it for a lifetime. Once all these things start to click, boom, shit's gonna start changing. That's why you always gotta take the diet stuff in the gym very seriously, but definitely the diet. And that means like no cheat meals. I think for me that was the biggest, because there were people online that were saying like they don't have any cheat meals. But my standards were still so low. I was like, is that possible? Like they never have crumble? Well, not crumble. I haven't had crumble, but like in general, like they don't do Chipotle, they don't do any of those things. But you'll get to a point where you can do those things, but you'll know when your lower ab veins are out and all that stuff, and like you're very locked in, then you can get away with the crumble because you're so locked in. But see, most people, they don't vibrate high enough where they can get away with things like that. You might want the crumble cookie, but you went to the gym maybe 2 times in the last year, and that's it. And you want balance and moderation. That's where I'm like, I just don't get it. That's why you can't use that argument. Because you're not in balance. Because the people that are telling you to eat everything in moderation, have fun, be balanced, they're out of balance. Those people are fat and overweight. Why would you listen to them? Doesn't make any sense. We have to stop doing that. You gotta listen to people that inspire, motivate you to be better, actually are doing the things that you want to do, and more. Because everyone else, they're not really doing. That's a lot of things too. This is why self-improvement journey is so lonely, because so few people genuinely do. So you don't really have anyone to talk to about this. That's why you start making videos, you start doing all these things. It's really like a can event. It's just things you're gonna go through as you really get on this journey. Because the people around you, they might talk about it. They might talk about they're locked in, they're not locked in, and you know. Because if they were locked in, see, everyone, that's the thing. If they were locked in how they said they were, you would get closer, not further apart. That's how it is. But that you just have to be okay with, because even some like very good friends, you're just gonna drift apart. But it is what it is. You gotta keep moving forward. Because you gotta show up for yourself first, conquer yourself, and then you can, help others, serve and inspire others. Because people keep downplaying this shit, man. And the more, like daily, because not every day I do it with genuine intent. You're doing all the right things. You recognize yeah, like it makes sense when you do this for like 2-3 years consistently that you look like a basic, like a literal Greek god, because you've actually mastered yourself. Because remember, guys, everything has to be locked in. You have to sleep, you have to hit your protein goal, you got to work out, you got to track, you got to do all those things consistently, and you got to get your steps in. That's another thing. Well, you get your steps in, or you can decrease calories more, but getting steps in is gonna be a little easier. But you have to do all those things genuinely, not when you feel like it, but every day. I think you have to show up every day. That's why routine is so important, because when you're genuinely locked in, you can wake up at the same time each day. Boom. You wake up at 4:30, 4:45, 5 o'clock, whatever. But you wake up very early. But because you wake up so early, you gotta go to sleep early, so you can't be out doing dumb shit, because you gotta prioritize sleep, because you gotta wake up early. Because you don't wake up early, you don't get your workout in. And then you're gonna go back to that old version of yourself that misses workouts. See, the key is knowing for the week, when you said boom, because you guys don't get it. When I genuinely think about it, the past 2 weeks is the first time besides SR that I said I was gonna do something and it was accomplished. But now I recognize that. I recognize, it wasn't even difficult to do that, because I've already done a bunch of difficult things, including SR. You start getting more self-confidence, more self-worth, because you're doing hard things. Especially now, I'm like, okay, I'm doing these difficult things and it's easy. But most people would look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, this is good, this is what I want. If people are calling you crazy for how you eat, or oh, you're obsessed or you need balance, that's how you know you're in the right direction. Those are gonna be little signs that you're actually locked in. Or if someone says you gotta live a little cope, any of that bullshit, you guys know all the copes. If you hear any of that stuff, you know you're on the right path. You know you're doing something right. If people start drifting apart from you, it's not you. It's not you. Because you know what your standards are. And you know that works out and takes all this stuff seriously, you're not the problem. If you're genuinely on the self-improvement path, you're not the problem. So if anyone drifts apart from you, it's their loss. That's the thing about it. It's their loss. Because people don't get it. Like, we're actually a very rare breed, because we're about this shit. You don't want to lose someone that's actually locked in around you. But if they don't have the vibration, understand that, it is what it is. But it's not on you. Don't feel bad. Don't feel sad. It's not to say fuck them, but you'll be fine without them, because you're actually locked in, and you don't need anyone else. That's the piece that comes with it too. Like, you get to the point where, like, damn, like, I actually don't need another human being. I'm good. Because most people are just gonna bring you down. Unfortunately, they're quite literally gonna drag you down instead of helping you elevate. That's why you get more and more alone as you continue on this journey. It's just a lot of realizations I've come to recently. But I recognize now, like, all these years, it's really been preparation. Because you can do self-improvement, and you'll get results going 90% of the way, 95%. But the real 1%, that real 1%, because everyone thinks, oh, it's genetics. But what you need is consistent, like genuine consistency of being locked in. So for me, that's okay. Now I know, okay, everything I've done the past 3 weeks, you need to do that now for over years. If I do these same actions for 2 consecutive years, I know I'm gonna look better than everyone. But and it's not the goal isn't to look better than everyone, but my standard's gonna be so much higher than everyone else that as a consequence I have to look better than them. But that's the type of confidence, and it's not even delusional confidence, because the thing you're doing, most people aren't willing to do. Like going months without a cheat meal, like going months generally of eating the same meals. That's how you separate yourself. That's 0.1%, literally, because very few people can do that. That's why it's so rewarding, because like you're really only eating food for fuel, which is how everything should be. And anyone that thinks, oh, your food is for taste, and you're a clown. But when you rest in that, yeah, food is primarily for fuel. That's it. That's what's going to allow you to stay locked in. When you think about eating that cookie, you think, do I need the cookie? No. Is there any nutritional value to the cookie? No. Oh, it's gonna kick me out of a deficit. Damn, I can't do that. I can't lower my standards. Because you recognize how valuable your standards are. Like, you literally have to fight to life or death to uphold these standards, because the people around you, the world, your environment, they're gonna try to pull you down or to their level of standards. But once you know what the actual standards are for being locked, you got to fight that shit, like to life or death, to maintain that. So you got to do the same boring things over and over and over again. And it's very peaceful, but people, they always seek pleasure first, so it's boring. They can't stick to it. Fucking, I love this shit. This shit is fucking fantastic. You wake up, you get your workout in, you come back, get your post-workout meals, you get your steps in, you go to money, stack the bread, you come home, you journal, you post and do your content creation, and boom, rinse and repeat. That shit's fantastic. But you just gotta get to a point where it's your identity, so you actually love it. Because I think anyone that genuinely loves doing difficult things and really listen to that David Goggins clip and me think, damn, like how else can I push myself? I don't have the vibration yet, but when I do learn, that's something I know I'm gonna do. Because at the end of the day, the gym, a lot of people hate the gym, but the people that hate the gym will still show up. Because some days you'll be motivated to work out, but some days you're like, damn, I don't want to fucking do this shit. But you still gotta do it. You still gotta show up. But you can be a bitch or feminine about it and then not show up. And then now you're letting your emotions dictate your actions. Can't do that. So you still gotta show up. So when you consistently show up, regardless of how you feel, that's where you gain the power. But see, that's why SR is also really important too, because you get these urges and you're like, no, like I'm better than that. And you go so long without, when everyone else does it daily, that's where the power comes from. Because if you're on a self-improvement journey, you want to be the best version of yourself. But I would also assume that you don't want to be average, because you recognize the average man, waist size is like 40, 25, 30% body fat, cooked, at a job they hate. They don't inspire, they don't lead anyone. They can't fulfill the purpose. So you don't really want to be average. So the only way not to be average is to do the things that most people aren't willing to do and do it consistently. But so that's why you got to get shit. That's why you have to get lean, because very few people are willing to do that. Because that's you could go to the gym and try to cleanse as much size as possible. But the reverse of that, working out while you're in a cut, or you're eating less food than you actually need, I'm telling you, it really changed you. It's really changed me. Because you think like, damn, like there's real levels for this shit. It's some anime stuff. Like you're like, damn, like this is like Ultra Instinct. Like you master this and quite literally the world is gonna be yours to grasp. Because when you really think about it, like when you look around, there might be people that are lean, but the goal is you want to be someone that's lean with mass, like with actual muscle. Because a lot of people are just skinny. They don't have muscle on them. But someone that's like peeled and they got muscle, that is the ultimate rarity. That's all I tell you guys. If you're still in the beginning of your journey, I wouldn't recommend the cut. Unless, that's the thing, everyone's journey is gonna start different, you know? If you're like 30+% body fat, like yes, you're gonna start your gym journey on a cut. But if you're skinny, if you're like 110 how I was in like high school or whatever, you have to track your calories and you just eat in a slight surplus. And you do that for like the first 1, 2, 3 years. So you can really build that base. Because you have to build the base, then you're gonna reveal the armor. Because you want to build a proper base, so when you do cut, it's not a disaster cut, because you actually have muscle on you. And that's the thing too, everyone's frame's gonna be a little different, if you're a little taller. See, specifically for me, I was blessed, because you could say my mentor, or even a few of them, honestly, they're about the same height. So if I know Boom, he's like 175 at 6'1", and I started my journey at 190, 6'2". So I'm like, okay, I gotta cut. But he's also been lifting for a little longer too. So how I'll look out, his body fat, the weight will be different, but it's gonna be different because, he's also older, but you do have a reference point. But anyone on the journey that, you have a good base, like, you have muscle on you, definitely recommend start the lean journey, because all these stories, all this body game shit, like, it's all very real. But the key is to not just, you don't want to chase, you just build and you attract. Because what this journey does is it's going to make you just, you're not going to tolerate people's excuses as much. You're just going to be like, this person's ball, I don't want to be around them. I told you what to do, you don't want to do it, it is what it is. But you're not going to waste time. See, what I won't ever do again is waste time. Because when you're in a community around locked around people, you don't have to tell them to work out. You don't have to tell them to get their protein on. You have to tell them to get their steps in. They do all that shit innately, because that's the base. Those are people you want to be around. Because around those people, they're gonna tell you, ooh, boom, let's lock in on the business. Or boom, let's do this. Or boom, let's go to the gym. But your friends that you gotta beg to do these things, just stop. Don't even waste your time. Take it from me, don't waste your time. Because it's like, you just wasting time. That can go into the bettering yourself and get into, this point even faster. So just don't even fucking waste your time. Unless you know they're worth it, but you have to look. We see, when you're trying to decide if someone's worth it, look at what they're doing. If you told them to work out 4 days a week and they're not, you have your answer. There is no hope. That's reality, especially as men. You have to, women are gonna be like, oh no, give them a chance. Like, no, we do it for reality. We do it facts, logic, and reality here. We don't do that emotional bullshit. So if you tell them to do something and they're not doing it, they're not locked in. You gotta cut them off. It's that simple. Don't even get emotional about it. See, that's my thing is I can't get mad because I had evidence this person wasn't locked in, so I can't get mad. So you can't get mad at the person because they're not locked in. It's like expecting someone to be like a famous basketball player or something, and you see that they're not playing basketball. You can't be shocked. But see, what we love to do is view people out the potential or what they're saying. It doesn't matter what the fuck they're saying. It's what they're doing. That's why the proof is important. The daily proof is important. And you can't lie about it. SR, this shit, you can't lie about this shit. What you do in the dark will be revealed in the light. You cannot lie about this shit. I'm telling you, there's no way to lie about it. Especially in person, you'll sense it. And another way you'll know is, as you keep vibrating higher and higher, low vibrational people, they want to instinctively move away from you. It's so much subtle things that you're gonna start to pick up on. But once you have your base, like it's just me versus me, right? Like so if I drift apart or whatever from someone else, like it's dumb. It's not you. That's not an ego thing. It's just what your standards are. You're gonna maintain them because you recognize the environment is important. So if people are threatening my standards, you have to go. See, a lot of us still don't understand how important our circle, like our inner circle, our sphere of influence is on us. And that's the thing too, if you look at your circle, they're gonna tell you where you're going. See, now me, it's like at the end of the day, it was the community I have online because the actual people around me, they're not gonna be locked in. I'm the most locked in person I know. But now I know there are other people here in Florida, which is nice, that are also locked in there, or wherever you are. Like there's gonna be locked in people, but you gotta stay locked in enough so you can start to manifest this. Maybe the Instagram algorithm will bless you, or the YouTube algorithm. But some way, shape, or form, you'll be rewarded for genuinely being locked in. That's why I encourage you. You gotta keep on the journey, but do it with genuine intensity. Like, don't miss workouts. If you can go 6 months without missing a workout, unless you were like sick or something. But that's like, even if you're sick, boom, gym work, it's a little flexible. Boom, we can shift some days around. Boom, like tomorrow's the 4th, so the gyms are closed. So I got my workout in, on the Sunday. Oh, but like last Sunday. So I still got my 5, weightlifting sessions. Boom, you can make little adjustments like that. But as long as you're going at least 4, you could get away with 3, but maybe a little later in your journey. I would say start with 4 to 5. You don't have to do 6. You can get away with 6, but your recovery's got to be dialed, and that might take you some time. Because that's the biggest thing too. The gym, a lot of the times, the first year is a preparation until you get your base. But once you know what your base is, like how you feel when you get good sleep, when you hit your protein goal, what pre-workouts and stuff to take, if you train faster now. Like once you have this base or everything, then you can start experimenting with the more like smaller marginal stuff, Maybe the time you train, other things like that. But once you have to develop that really solid base. And that's going to take a couple of years. But if you just keep doing and doing and doing, you'll keep learning. And then you'll have more things to kind of take from. And you build your own perspective. Because now I don't even know what to call the diet that I do. It's really just my diet. I've taken everything from all diets. I've taken from carnivore, from keto, from animal-based, from paleo. I've taken all the good things from every diet and found something that works for me and my goals. Because at the end of the day, your diet, that's another thing too. You can't be so, and that's another crazy realization I've had too. With the diets, you don't really have a diet. It's just you're eating certain foods for fuel to serve to fulfill this purpose or serve this purpose or get to this vibration. That's how I view it now too. So that makes you not, it makes you attached to food, but also you also detach from food, because now you're just eating certain foods and you can play with them like levers to get to a certain goal, a desirable outcome. And I think there's power that comes in that too, because that's how business operates. They're gonna look at, okay, what are the numbers? Okay, boom, we can be more efficient this way, boom, and you make that change. But you're not so attached to it. I think I was myself very attached to like, oh, it's this, I do this diet, that diet, boom. Like you don't want to be that attached to that identity. But these are the things you're gonna pick up on. You know, like once you do, like you genuinely try, and you're consistent, you know, with the way you eat, you're just gonna start picking up on these things. And you take the good from everything, you put your little spin on it, boom, and you go based off how you feel at the end of the day. Because the whole science community, they're gonna tell you one thing, but at the end of the day, you first have how you feel. You know, yeah, you're still gonna apply logic and reasoning, but boom, if you feel good, boom. If someone says, I'll even give you guys an example. You know, I used to take baking soda because baking soda is a pretty good pre-workout, but it made me feel kind of nauseous. So I started experimenting with the doses. I scaled back, but I'm still nauseous, so I'm gonna just cut it out. You know, there's some salt, it's fine. But that's because I trained fasted. But you know, that's the evidence you'll get. You try stuff, boom, it didn't work. Okay, boom, you cut it out, and you kind of keep optimizing from there. But the optimization and all that stuff that can come after. That'll come after, you know, you've built that base of you sleep, you hit your protein goal, and then you're working out consistently 4 or 5 days a week. And you're getting your steps in, of course, if you're cutting. You know, because if you're bulking, yeah, steps isn't as important, but you should still, to help with, you know, like your metabolism, digestion, you should still get in steps, just not, you know, you don't need as much. But these things are always going to be important. That's why they're always your base. And that's the thing about discipline. And self-improvement, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what stage of life you're in, you don't take a back seat to these things. Most people tend to do that. Like, no, you can't do that. You always need sleep. That's not going to go away. And anyone that says, oh, but this person, like, no, you can look at Jeff Bezos. He gets at least 7 hours. He's like, he prioritizes that because he knows that's how he's able to function at that level. You need your sleep. That is the one thing you can't really deviate from. But I will say you can get away with a little, and I mean a little less sleep. You still need at least 6 hours. If you're genuinely locked in, you're attaining, and you're doing all these things, you're gonna naturally notice like you have more energy. See, for me, I always get between 7 to 9, but on days I do get 6, I know I'm okay. And you'll know if you got enough sleep, or if it's like 1, 2, 3 p.m. and you're not like drowsy or whatever. That's how you usually know if you got adequate sleep or not. So you can always use that as kind of like a reference point. But yeah, always 7 to 9 hours. Non-negotiable. These are no exceptions. You got to get your sleep in, because that's the thing. You have to treat these as daily non-negotiables. I mean, you fight to the life or death to uphold it, because if you don't, that's a commitment you're breaking to yourself, and that's very damaging, because now you're reinforcing that old identity that you don't want to have that old identity anymore. I never want to fucking go back to how I was before, you know, where you can't lock in, there's no confidence. Fucking, nah, I'm never gonna match that shit. Where you think you need someone that, like, nah, fuck that shit. Like, that part, you gotta rip out of you and fucking slash, shoot with a shotgun, fucking shoot with an RPG, as many times as it takes to where that doesn't come back. That's why you have to be disciplined. That's why you gotta stay locked in. So yeah, boys, make sure you stay locked in. Let's get it, keep on the journey, and stay locked till the next one.